Joanne, it's been a while since we spoke to you. I feel like the last time we spoke, we weren't even talking about Anthropic or some of these now trillion-dollar names that are out there. Remind everybody where you and the Golden Seeds team get in on early stage investments.
Okay, so we are angel investors and we are at the beginning of the companies. We are typically the first professional money in. So we are people who, we're not your friends, we're not your families. We're investing not in the personality of the founders, we're investing in the idea that they've put together, the team they've brought together, and the business that they tell us that they're going to create. So we're at the first and second rung of the ladder. And there has been lots of change for women in those first and second steps of the ladder. And in fact, we've been investing since 2004 when we started, 2005, and we just crossed $200 million invested in women-led and co-led startups. So that's a pretty big number for any angel group, but certainly for one that only invests in teams that have women.
No, it's an interesting statistic, and you certainly have some perspective on this industry and how it goes. I'm always curious too about so many of the companies. Listen, angel investing, you can throw a lot of money in a lot of different companies, and maybe there's only a handful that actually pay out. But what can you tell us about, for lack of a better word, Joanne, the success rate? Like, what happens to a lot of the companies that you start to invest in? Do they then get larger funding rounds, any of them going public, or do they get acquired? Give us some idea of kind of the runway off of your initial investment.
Okay, so I'm going to give you our experience, but our experience doesn't differ much from the experience that I know of in the angel industry overall. Mm-hmm. So somewhere between a third and a half of startup companies do not return the capital. Mm-hmm. And that's true for angel investing. That's also true for venture investing. Okay. About 90% of your total return, whatever it may be, comes from somewhere between 20 and 15% of your companies. And that's true for Golden Seeds. That's true for the angel, all the angels in the US from our trade associations. And from many of the reports I've seen about venture, that's also true. If you're asking about our experience, I can talk about that if that's what you want to talk about.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we just crossed 200 million in total investments.
Right.
We've returned to our collective investors. They've returned themselves because they make their own decision. 92% of that total amount. And if we add to that the unrealized gain in the operating companies that are in the collective portfolio, there's about 90 of them. Mm-hmm. Add those two numbers together, and that's about 210% of $200 million. In terms of count of our not quite 200 companies, we've had 30 positive exits and secondary transactions. So 30 divided by 2. Yeah, that's right in there in those percentages. And those transactions have had multiples between, a little over 1 up to 90x. And like us, all angel groups, because we're continually investing, of our 90 operating companies, 12 of them are, maybe 14 of them are new in the last, 14 months. So
right.
We don't know what's going to happen to them yet.
What thematically, apart from these being women-led companies, thematically, what are the companies that are most exciting to you and the network right now?
Well, you were just talking a little bit about it.
I knew you were going to go there. It was sort of a rhetorical question because I don't know anyone who wouldn't say AI right now.
Yeah. Well, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say that if you only looked at the headlines, You would think that we were drowning in liquidity because there's so much venture capital happening right now, but it is very skewed to mega deals. So, in AI infrastructure, if you take those out, the amount of money going into non-AI stuff is, 24 to 25, even now into 26, it's about the same. And we have seen some rotation, though, in those deals. We're actually seeing more investment in B2B technologies and a little bit less in anything B2C or healthcare related. I can speculate on why that is, but we're not sure. I mean, one thing is that, women are continuing to, they get 40% of the STEM degrees, and they are continuing to innovate and come up with some incredible ideas and start to commercialize them. And, our reach and reputation means that we see a lot of that stuff. We're sort of like the first port of call for some of these people.
Hey, Joanne, just got about 25 seconds left here. Your read, VC, we are constantly looking at different metrics to get a read on kind of the business environment and macro. Just very quickly, from what you are seeing, describes what kind of economy right now?
I would say that nobody wants to invest in SaaS. And people are really looking for technologies that, with a little bit of money, can be highly levered in climate, energy, and green tech.
All right.
That's what we're seeing.